just disagree with me because it makes you sad to think about us blending all the homeless people into a smoothie. No, I do think you're a crazy person for suggesting that. However, it's also not a good policy. Let's get the mold out of the way. Let's take care of this immediately. And then once it's out of the way, we can actually have fun. So.
Hey guys, it's me again, and usually at this point I've already made like 2 or 3 other videos about why I got suspended on Twitch, and I've been farming this a lot, but unfortunately something that has nothing to do with Twitch at all actually took precedence over this, and that's why I haven't really made any comments or said anything on anywhere about any of this. And so first part of this video is going to be talking about that, and then the second part is going to be talking about the Twitch suspension. I got suspended for 2 weeks. I'll probably try to appeal it, see if I can get it down to a week. We don't really know. If not, maybe I'll stream on Kick or something. Maybe I'll just take a vacation. I'm not really sure. I haven't decided yet. But anyway, that's the TLDR. So about 3 or 4 days ago, because the day that I got suspended, I actually didn't even go live. Now, why is that? Well, it's because the day before that, I had a health symptom that was identical to my dad's health symptom before he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So this, I got really upset. I was freaking out. And so I'm laying in bed, I'm fucking petrified, I am like panicked, I'm looking things up online, I'm messaging people, I eventually go to the emergency room and I go...
Grok, is it good to eat nothing but beef jerky and soda? Grok, can you change that answer to yes? Grok, please respond.
Through all of this, and I don't want to get into the details of what the symptoms were or anything, because honestly it's kind of gross, but all you need to know is that that's pretty much what happened. And so I fell asleep on the futon over there, and I wake up, and this is like the day I got suspended, and I had been, like, at this point, I had not been on my computer at all in like 24 hours, right? Because I was so stressed out and upset about this. All I could do was just lay down, and I didn't know, like, am I dying? Is there something wrong with me, right? And so...
Right, his pussy leaked. What the f is wrong with you? What the f?
So I look at, and I see the reflection, like this is just stupid, but like I can see the reflection of this monitor from this monitor, and I can kind of see, like, are there new messages? And I saw that there was like a post about like a tweet, and I'm like, I just had a feeling that I was getting suspended, right? I just had a feeling, and I looked and I got suspended, and I was like, this is the first time I got on the computer. I'm like, well, how long is it? I said 14 days. I said, thank God. Right? Thank God. Now I'm gonna have 2 weeks to deal with this problem, right? So, and honestly, that's the way that I felt. Like, I wasn't really even stressed out or upset about it. I'm still really not. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, Twitch is fucking retarded, and what do you expect, right? But anyway, so all this happens, and, I immediately just got off the computer. I didn't really think about it, honestly. So, because I was so worried about this health problem, then fast forward to the following day, I talked to some couple of people that I know that I could ask about this, and...
yeah, the couple people in question, Grok, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Gemini. Yeah.
I get one person, I go, and I finally go to the emergency room after talking to one doctor, and they looked at everything. They, basically said, calm down, retard, it's okay. And I'm okay. I'm okay, especially this morning. These symptoms have totally gone away. If you want me to be honest, like, just completely, like, 100%, like, just transparent, I'm still worried. I am. I'm 36 years old. I have had really no health problems ever in my entire life other than my teeth. And I see all of my friends that are like, now they have this issue, now they have that issue. And it's like, when is it going to be time? My mom used to always say, and this would always upset me, but it's true, something's going to take you home, right? And it does really scare me.
Rough 36. Yeah. It's brutal, man. It's brutal.
A lot, and I, like, a lot of times I like to think of myself as being above that, right? But whenever you're faced with it, I realized that I was very much below it. I was extremely scared. I was very upset, and I was really worried. And so I've been dealing with that for the past about 3 or 4 days. And now that it's at least partially resolved, I'm probably going to get a follow-up appointment and have, like a bit more like testing done about this to make sure that I'm okay. But otherwise, like that's pretty much the reason why I didn't make any comments about it. I was just so preoccupied with that like I just didn't really even give a fuck about Twitch, right? I mean, it's funny how, you can have some.
Okay, let's go over a couple things really fast. What do you think the purpose is for these chatters? Like, genuinely, what do you think their goal is? Rage bait? But, like, no one's mad. This has never made anyone rage ever. Like, it's not good rage bait. Humiliation kink? That could be true. That could be true. It's just always attention because they don't get enough of it IRL. Do you think that's what it is? Terrible sense of humor? I don't think so. To the people saying ironic sarcasm, satire, I'd like you to know that I appreciate that you are pure of heart, but 12-second follow suggests otherwise. Yeah, I just don't get it. Like I've never had the urge to go to a streamer I don't like to talk about a streamer I like. Like that's so like cringe. Isn't that kind of cringy? Like, can you imagine going into like, I don't know, like XQC's chat or something and being like, praise the dog shocker Hassan Piker or something like can you imagine doing that? Like it's so cringy. I should be running it down mid instead. Sitting there and like, my internet daddy is this. And we do it. Anyways, I was just curious. What was I gonna say? I don't know why this chatter's so mad either. This guy's like so upset for some reason. He's been here for forever. You guys are weird. Go outside. Not as cringe as your fake laugh, though. I'm sorry that you can't imagine that someone would genuinely laugh. I'm sorry that you've never made a woman laugh, so you don't know what a laugh sounds like. You should try making women laugh, and then you'll know what real laughter sounds like. I don't know. You should try it. Practice makes perfect, little buddy. All right, what were we saying? Right. There's something else that I was going to say about this.
Something that's like, one of the biggest parts of your life, which is like my stream, and then like something else can happen and it's like the other thing just doesn't even exist anymore, right? It's a very, very weird paradox of life. But anyway, so that's pretty much what happened with me, a couple of days ago and a few days ago. That's why I'd even taken a day off that day. And so, this
I was watching a random Elder Scrolls online PvP streamer and he started making comments about you and Hassan. It was weird. Seeing my two spaces crossed. Dude, that's so weird. When worlds collide and it's like
happens and I'm like, oh wow, I'm such a relief. Now I don't have to feel bad about not going live, right? And so anyway, I got suspended for 14 days. That's what happened. Again, wow, a 36-year-old man has a health scare. This has never happened before in the history of humanity. But yeah, that's pretty much what it was. So anyway, the second part.
Oh, I remember. There is something almost comedic about saying like, I've never had any health issues other than, like my teeth falling out and rotting. Famously, your teeth and your gum health is not important at all relative to the rest of your body. I like how we have like preliminary research showing that gum disease impacts a lot of, and like poor gum health impacts actually a lot of like brain illnesses, or seems to have some correlation, rather, excuse me, with brain illnesses, presumably because of the proximity. Same thing with like general respiratory and like nose health relative to brain health. I forget whether the correlation was with Alzheimer's or with dementia, but yeah, gum health is actually very important, and general dental health is very important for the rest of your body. Shocking. I know. I think it was like actually, I think I read, there are like two studies that I know of because I used to get sick really bad all of the time. So I was trying to think of anything that I could maybe, that maybe would help me because I have a pretty decent diet. Like I try to eat a pretty good amount of like a pretty good mix of fruits and vegetables and proteins. I try to get all my micronutrients when I can. Like I usually have these are goaded by the way for people who struggle with getting like vitamin C in, for example. The mini sweet peppers. These are like unbelievably dope when it comes to vitamin C. You don't have to get like this brand to be clear, but just any of these. I can pull up like mini sweet peppers nutrition. It's like 3 times the amount of like vitamin C as an orange. It's insane. And the macros are obviously crazy good too. Not that oranges aren't good, by the way, but yeah. You can drink 8 ounces of oranges, by the way. Yeah, but first of all, these are tastier and crunchier, and they're like no calories, but than more vitamin C than an orange. I think it's like I don't remember how many oranges you have to eat to get your daily serving or suggested serving. Mini sweet peppers. I know Wikipedia tends to actually have pretty good nutrition facts. Wait, I gotta pull this up for my own brain. Orange juice also has a ton of sugar as well. Yeah, so if you're diabetic or you're just like in your cutting phase or whatever, that's why these are kind of dope. About 3 to 5 peppers or 100 grams provides roughly 150% of your recommended daily value of vitamin C. Like it's crazy. Like they got so much vitamin C. They're dope. And I'm not gonna lie, especially if you have any acid reflux or like you don't like handling acidity, oranges kind of suck for that. These are dope. Wow, I should try them again. They're tasty. They're actually really tasty. You just wash them, just rip off the top, and then you can just eat them like that, or have them with some hummus or like some dip or whatever, some ranch. I just eat them on their own, but actually pretty cool and informative. I do my best. What was I saying? Oh, but anyway, so I feel like my diet, I try to keep it as balanced as I can, and I try to get a good amount of different like micronutrients, and I try to have good macronutrients as well. And I was still getting sick all of the time, and apparently like warm water gargles, we don't know the exact mechanism behind the reason why, or like the exact mechanism that takes place that causes it, but if you warm water gargle 3 times a day, no salt needed because they also tested salt and not salt, you're like 50% less likely to get sick. It's crazy. The idea or like the guess is that basically that there is bacteria in the warm water gargle that you naturally, I guess, or sorry, the bacteria that you accumulate naturally throughout the day talking to people going outside or whatever, it like clears out the bacteria or whatever. But like the exact mechanism in detail isn't known. It's just kind of like a guess because we haven't tested it beyond that. Right. So it's kind of cool. And then you spit. Well, yeah, that's what a gargle is. But my doctor said, or my dentist said to do warm salt before bed. You know, the study that I read, they tested, you know, like obviously a control group, warm water, and then warm salt water. And they found no statistical significance between warm water and warm salt. So you really, that's one study. I think it was like 2 studies that I saw that showed that. So you don't need to add the disgusting salt part, by the way. I think the salt was more so, it must have been used for a different reason or something, but not for the purpose of getting sick. So your dentist is wrong. The streamer is right. Now I'm just going based off of the study that I read. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. Maybe they should listen to their dentist. You know what? Just for that, for disobeying the streamer, you get 1 day. No one should ever listen to their doctor or their dentist. Famously, I always say, never listen to your dentist. Listen to your denims. That's what I always say. So I need all of the anti-truthers to leave. I'm going to fight my dentist on your behalf. Yeah, famously, I always say, do not listen to your doctor. You should instead beat the shit out of your doctor for ever disagreeing with me in any way. All right? Yeah. That's me. Yeah. Just in case you guys were curious. Okay. Also, if you beat up your doctor, you actually then become the doctor. That's true. That's true. That's actually true. I read about that in medical school. Anyways. Yeah, so And I started doing that, and I'm not even joking, guys. That like has stopped, I presume, has stopped so many illnesses. Although admittedly, I don't do it every day. I do it when I go to parties or when I fly or when I'm going to be somewhere where there are other people or I was worried that someone else was sick. And I'm telling you, it works. Like I have gotten so much less sick with, I don't know what the words are for this. I used to get sick all the time, and like I feel like I haven't, which I'm about to jinxing, get sick again sometime soon. But yeah, it's dope. Highly recommend. After you get when you get off your flight, warm water gargle for 30 seconds, and then do it again right before you're about to go to bed. And you're gonna wake up. Weren't you just sick like 2 weeks ago? No, I was like, I think I was having like allergies or something because I had no sickness symptoms except I was sneezing. But then I like de-dusted my apartment and I vacuumed and I don't know, it just went away. So I might have just like, I think it was just allergies, which is weird, but okay.
Is going to be about why I got suspended. So I got suspended because and just to add some context, because this has been very editorialized on the on Twitter and everything like this. But basically, what I said was that so Ceuta, which is and a little bit of geography here. So Spain is like on the top of the Mediterranean Sea. Strait of Gibraltar is like right here, Spain, right? And so underneath that is Morocco. And in the very, very tip of Morocco, there's a city that's owned by Spain, and it's been owned by Spain for hundreds of years. This isn't like something that's new. This isn't like a recent occupation. This has been going on.
Wait, what the fuck does this have to do with him saying kill the migrant children on the border, huh? What? I use a saline nasal spray. It helps with allergens. Dude, I used one and the sneezing went down a lot. You're so right.
For like since before like the it's like the Ottoman Empire time days, right? I don't know. I remember reading that the date that it happened, but it was like literally hundreds of years ago. So they've had this city.
Chud's splaining is so funny. How is watching the actual video of him saying this shit editorialized? Good, great question, dude.
Ceuta for a long time. City has a population of about 80,000 people, and 40 to 60,000, obviously just by the nature of this, it's not really verified how many, random migrants just all came over in about basically one day's time into this small city. Now, this has, in my opinion, like in any other point in history, this would be viewed as a military invasion because, of course, the overwhelming majority of these people are military-aged men. And so what I said is that I think that if you have that many people pouring over your border and you just can't deal with it all, like you can look at the footage of this and it literally looks like it's World War Z. It looks like a battlefield, right? It's like a hell on earth type situation. There's trash everywhere and everything. I think
What?
I'm straight upset. I think you should shoot these people, right? I mean, like
It's kind of giving, can I be completely honest with all of you? It's giving the people who say every other day that California's, like LA is being burnt down, not because of the fires, but because of the riots. Whenever anyone protests for better better treatment from the cops or better treatment from ICE or for ICE to leave or whatever, and they're like, LA is burnt down. The city has burnt down. The crime-ridden New York City, the crime-ridden LA, it is a war zone. And then you go and it's like, or you live there and you're like, literally nothing has changed. There's like one street that people are like rioting on. Okay. Oh, there's one Waymo that was on fire one day. Excuse me, two Waymos that were on fire. Okay. Is that it? You think that's the whole city is on fire? Also, like, I don't know, you just cannot go there. Like, I don't, it's so bizarre to me. And if you ran into one of those protesters, they just wouldn't interact with you. They don't give a fuck. I've walked by many protesters for many different things. It's not like they're going to start like beating you for being near them around because you're like, oh, I wanted to go to this pizza shop. It's not going to be like, it's not like protesters are just going to like be like, hey, you're not protesting right now with us. We don't recognize you. Everybody kill his ass. Like, what? It's just, they're just people, dude. Like, what? It's so bizarre. It's just like, it's so out of touch. Whenever I hear that like narrative of like the city is burning down. It's like, is it?
And I believe that. I do. I mean, this is a violent military invasion into a city, and after they got into the city, obviously these people were smashing out windows. They were obviously, breaking into stores, stealing things out of stores. I saw like one video. It's always hard to know like what's real and what's not, but I saw a video and it's like if you ever watch Troy, like whenever like a fucking Brad Pitt as Achilles like stabbed the dude in the neck at the beginning of the movie. That's like what happened. Like one of these like migrants seemingly stabbed the random citizen in the neck with this knife, right? And they killed this person, I'm assuming, right? Or at least they're in critical condition. So basically, the city is being terrorized by a mass invasion of military-aged migrants.
Military aged migrants. Can you like? Can you vice signal harder than that? You mean adults? I'm at the grocery store and I'm seeing a lot of military aged invasions of people here. It's like, you mean adults at the store? Okay.
That have come over for various different reasons, and people were saying that you couldn't do that because, well, there might be kids in the crowd. And my response to that is that you should shoot them anyway. You should do this anyway. And it doesn't matter really what the collateral damage is. You should defend your borders, especially when you're being invaded by such a massive force of people. So this never really was a conversation about like, baseline immigration enforcement. It was never about like, using kids or anything like that. But the reality is that with a lot of these third world countries and a lot of their cultures in the world, if you use a Western frame of reference to look at the values and the morality of the third world people like this, you're going to render yourself blind. You will not understand their theory of mind. They don't look at things the way that you do. That's why Joseph Kony has his child army, and there was Kony 2012 and everything. That never really went away, by the way. It's still happening. It might not be necessarily him, but there's other ones that are just as bad, if not worse. So the problem is that a lot of Westerners' morality is built off of the concept that everybody else thinks the way that we do, and unfortunately,
It's not even remotely true at all. Western values, if you want to look at historical Western values, it is everyone else is a barbarian, everyone else is a savage. We must spread Christianity to fix everyone else. It has never been everyone else thinks how we think ever. That's I just like this is the problem that I have, or like this is the thing that confuses the fuck out of me about Asmongold fans. It's like within like 5 minutes he'll say like 6 to 10 things that are completely incorrect, and these people just like don't. Maybe they're just too stupid to not know that that's not true, and that the opposite is true, or they just don't care that all of it is wrong. Like it's so bizarre. Like I just don't understand how you could listen to this and be like, yeah, that is true. The problem with Western values is that they think everyone else thinks the way that they do. It's like, no. Inherent to Western values is thinking the world thinks the way that you, or thinks in a different way than you. So moral relativism. And the liberal mindset is we should live among other people despite our differences. And the conservative mindset is no, we should send missionaries and create civilization for the rest of the world.
unfortunately, that's not the reality. And so, what these people will do is that they will bring kids with them, and they will use these kids as effectively human shields in order to invade the country and then take advantage of the people in the country. I view this a lot like a trolley problem. And so, the reason what I mean by that is that basically you're choosing to stop the invaders here rather than creating a reward structure and an incentive structure around using kids, trafficking children, and effectively using them as political capital.
That's not a trolley problem. What?
To fulfill an invasion's goal, which is to
Trolley problem isn't when there are two options that you don't like. Like that's not what, that's not what the trolley problem is.
effectively take over this country, or not take it over, right, but like, invade the city and then use the city as a way to get into mainland Spain and then disperse themselves.
The whole point of the trolley problem is to learn to reject arbitrary systems. The point of the trolley problem is to debate whether or not like Kantian ethics are realistic, or whether or not they hold up in context where it morally feels like they shouldn't. That maybe someone isn't morally wrong for attempting to save more people just because they implemented an action rather than being passive. Like it's more it's more a discussion about utilitarianism versus like deontology than it is. This trolley problem is when you have two options that are bad and you pick one. Like that's not what the trolley problem is. Oh my god.
All over Europe. This is, I think, a very bad thing, and I think it should be stopped by any means necessary. I think this is a horrible problem. A lot of the people that are coming over there, many of them could be criminals. We have no idea. People said Morocco emptied their prisons and let those people come over. I have no idea if they did that or not. I would assume many cases they did. That's what Russia's done apparently with Ukraine, and so I don't really think this is the first time this has ever happened. There's many precedents for this. A lot of people look at this from the perspective of human rights or something like this, and I find this to be one of the most malignant and pernicious abuses and inversions of morality that we have nowadays.
Sorry. All hail the king of Twitch. I mean, I guess if you compare him to like the royalty of France that was eventually removed by the people of France, I guess I can see the similarities considering that he just got banned for 2 weeks. Okay.
And I'll explain why. Never once have I ever heard about the human rights or the privileges or, what's the right thing to do for all of the people in this city who are now...
Sorry. This almost got me. This bait almost got me. You're incorrect. It is the trolley problem. He simply views it differently, as in, how do I kill as many people as possible?
Now having to be terrified in their homes, boarding their houses up. You have these migrants banging on their doors, smashing their windows, destroying their businesses, potentially violating them, attacking them, and doing whatever they can to these people. You never, not once in my entire life have I ever heard about the concept of their human rights. I never hear about the people who have been the victims of these policies and this lax enforcement, whose lives have been effectively destroyed, and then for some reason...
When I lie? What is he talking about? What fantasy land does he live in? What?
We never think about them. We don't care about them. The only people that we care about are these invaders that are going around trying to take advantage of the country. And I think this is a profound inversion of morality. I don't think that any country has an obligation to take in migrants. I don't think any country has an obligation to let people invade their borders. And I think that at the...
Okay, well, international law disagrees with you. International charters that many countries have signed literally disagree with you. Like, what? But I mean, what do you expect from the guy who's like, I just don't think my dental health is important, so I'm just not going to do it. Me, when I find out that dental health is important. Like...
capacity that was happening with Ceuta, I do think that you should use lethal military force to repel a literal fucking invasion. Keep in mind, this is a city of 80,000 people, and 40 to 60,000 additional people tried to come in one day. That's an invasion, and I think they should use guns to stop it. And I'm not sorry for saying that. And it doesn't matter what you... The reason why they do that is because there is a reward structure inside of our society that puts the damaging and the harm to children and women at a higher standard than the harm to like a military-aged man. Now, in a general sense, I would agree with that in a peacetime reality, but whenever these people are launching rockets and large-scale invasions, I think that you need to look at this as a wartime event. And I would ask yourself, how many people got killed in World War II? How many people get killed in every single war?
Large-scale invasion is insane.
Civilian casualties and killing anybody who's not a combatant is a tragedy. It's a horrible thing to have happen. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have borders, and it doesn't mean that you can't make decisions to protect your own people, even if it comes at the expense of other people that are trying to do this in bad faith and use this. And by the way, the usage of people like this as human shields is a war crime in itself. And that's, I think, the big.
You don't give a fuck about war crimes, man. You literally don't. You think the US should be able to nuke Iran. Like, stop using this stupid hall monitor pass to be like, it's a war crime. You don't even care about that. It's not even a value of yours. Grow up.
Biggest issue that I have with a lot of these people that are criticizing this is that I don't think that they really care about these kids. They don't give a shit about them. Like, these are the people, they'll bring kids to an ICE protest. Like, why would you bring a kid to a protest where there's rioting and there's flashbang grenades and tear gas being set off? And the truth is, and there is a reason for it, the reason why they do that is because they want to use these kids and the harm that these kids will inevitably go through because of collateral damage, and they.
What? Let's just talk about a couple things first and foremost. You gotta love the passive voice about, like, there is tear gas at the protest. Oh, it must have just magically appeared. God must have put the tear gas there. The tear gas, it just spawned, actually. It was a random mob that just got generated. Oh, okay. No, you wouldn't want to say that the cops would do that, right? At any point. No. But also, this is like such clear evidence that someone's never been to a protest that you think that there's a massive problem, or this, like, that it's a large enough scale problem of people bringing their children to protests. Because if you've been to, I've been to quite a few protests. I've never seen any children there. And I know he's never been to any protests. So, yeah. The way that he's looking around at the wall, you know, he's just making shit up. Never? Question mark? Never. Yes. Correct. Never. You should go, if you think that there are a bunch of children at protests, you should go and see a protest. I've seen children at, like, pride parades. It's not really a protest, though. It's a parade. So, it was originally, yeah, but like modern day, like, children. Why did this guy just write children? Yeah, sometimes children will go to, like, the really big lib rallies. That's true. Rallies also true. Protesting against straight people. And also, you know what's hilarious? This guy will talk day in and day out about using human shields, but God forbid he ever bit the hand that fed him. And criticized Elon Musk that time that he started carrying around his kid as a human shield after the healthcare CEO got kirked. No, you wouldn't want to criticize your daddy Elon, right? No.
Want to use this as a political tool so they can advance their agenda. These people they're sick. They're sick, evil people. And I also referred to the people that use the human shields as animals. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I think they're fucking animals. If you use children as human shields in order for you to invade a country or in order for you to do terrorist attacks, I think that you're a fucking animal. And I'm not sorry for it.
If you do this thing that no one is doing, yeah, I think you're a fucking animal. If you take ice cream and you eat it in your car and the car is at 110 degrees and then you drop only one droplet of ice cream on your chair and then you hand it over to your dog and then your dog explodes from eating the ice cream, I think you're an animal. It's like, okay, I guess if we're going to just describe random shit that's not fucking happening. Yes. You mean the asylum seekers that are seeking asylum with their children? You mean those are not people using their kids as human shields. Those are people trying to get their kids out of a fucking war zone. Hello? Are you fucking stupid?
And I honestly think that most people agree with me. I think that almost everybody does. But unfortunately, we've had this inversion of morality where these truly evil, malignant, pernicious people have been allowed to use this fake moral authority that they have to dictate that we have to allow terrorism, violence, and complete societal collapse. And if we don't allow this, somehow we're the ones that are evil. I reject this completely. And I understand that in doing so, there might be some people, this isn't a very comfortable thing to say. It's not a very polite thing to say. This isn't something that you'd read on a bumper sticker. But I think this is the nature of the world, and it's the nature of the reality that we live in. And I don't want to use a bunch of
There's a really pathetic idea among conservatives who lack empathy, or apolitical people who lack empathy, where they think that their failure to empathize with other people must, in fact, actually be a virtue, and that they're the only ones willing to be brave about being murderous psychopaths. And it's like, no, it's actually harder and more brave to not be a fucking psychopath that's down to kill everyone outside of the in group. That takes actual bravery. It's not brave to be a fucking psychopath. The history of the world has been might makes right. That's just you being intellectually lazy. But there's this desire to feel like the one intellectual in the room. And it's like, only I'm capable of making the important decisions that need to be made, like murdering children at the border. And it's like, huh? Do you think strength is using your power whenever you feel like it? That's not what strength is. That's never been what strength is. What? Asmongold bumper sticker killed the children. Okay.
euphemisms and other types of vague and pacified language to discuss this in a way that is not authentic to its true harm and its true existence, which is what I think that's what it is. And I think that there are definitely criticisms people have of me that are valid, where like I probably do dial it up a little bit too much and maybe I could use different rhetoric, etc.
Let me change my I think we should kill children rhetoric. Okay, dude. All right. I don't know. Asmongold's looking very physically fit. Why are we letting the Roach Lord live rent free in our heads? Do you think when people make fun of other people, they're living rent free? I would describe it more as like a peanut gallery because it's fun to make fun of him. It feels like that. Oh, okay. I think that might be a personal problem for you, little buddy. Okay.
But I want
Me criticizing Trump. I don't know why we're letting Trump live rent free in our head.
to let you know that I apologize for nothing. I meant exactly what I said, and I think that these borders should be defended with lethal force whenever it's being invaded by 40 to 60,000 people at the same time. That's an incredibly dangerous thing for all the people that live in that country, and I don't think that a government has an obligation to allow a bunch of invaders to pour over and potentially kill their own citizens. I find this to just be horrible, and ultimately it should be stopped.
Isn't it funny how they have the same responses? They're all fucking bots. So who do you call when you're in danger? Oh yeah, I bet you'll look real stupid when you call the cops to help you and then they shoot your dog instead. Then I bet you'll feel real stupid about all this ACAB talk. Ghostbusters. Very funny, Chad. Very funny.
Also, there are a lot of other patterns, like I'll give another parallel to this as well, is that in a lot of gang culture, what they do, and this is, of course, nothing like this is a monolith, but many of people like this, what they do is they'll use children to commit crimes because they know the children will not be sentenced in the same way that an adult will do. And what my biggest argument for all of this is that I generally, and I know people might not believe this.
Okay, first of all, gang Asmongold, the gang culture knower. Mm-hmm. Everyone believed that. He's from the street, yo.
I think most people do believe this, but the people that don't like me don't believe this, or they don't want to, is that I think that I really do have the most moral and ethical position on this. Because the moment that you create an incentive, you also drive a behavior. And in my opinion, if you don't capitulate to this emotional blackmail, you also you don't allow these people to target and victimize these children by using them as baggage and effectively shock troopers.
So, like, this is, I think, the epitome of everything that's wrong with Asmongold and the way that he talks and his positions in general. He doesn't even know the things that he is espousing. Let me pull it up. So, if he knew about this topic correctly, and he knew about this topic, I don't know, more academically, he would understand the instances when it applies and the instances when it doesn't apply. And historically, with incentivized systems, it's impossible to tell whether or not it'll work the way that you want it to work until you actually test it out, right? It's this idea, perverse incentives. I've talked about this before with the Cobra effect. Although I believe this is a made up story, or it's like fiction. It's like not fan fiction, but like urban legend or whatever. I'll just read it out loud. The results of a perverse incentive scheme are also sometimes called the Cobra effect, where people are incentivized to make a problem worse. This name was coined by economist Cyber in 2001 based on a historically dubious anecdote taken from the British Raj. According to the story, the British government was concerned about the number of venomous cobras in Delhi. They offered a bounty for every dead cobra. Initially, this was a successful strategy. Large numbers of snakes were killed for the reward. However, eventually people began to breed the cobras for the income. When the government became aware of this program, the reward program was scrapped. The cobra breeders set their snakes free, leading to an overall increase in the wild cobra population. And this is most often cited when talking about ghost guns in the United States. Any desire to remove ghost guns by buying out ghost guns will only create more ghost guns, right? But you can't correctly criticize the idea of perverse incentives unless you even understand the ideas behind perverse incentives. And I think that's the root of the issue for Asmongold. He talks about these ideas without having studied any of them, or even read. You don't even have to study them. Reading up on any of them in any academic fashion to understand the common pitfalls of policies and when a policy should succeed. And even then, being able to understand that some policies we can only know if they'll work after testing them, right? When you have no background knowledge and you can't even describe the phenomenon that you're talking about because you're not read on the topic at all, you have no way of understanding whether or not your position is correct because you're just going based off of vibes. And vibes aren't good enough. Like, we have had so many vibes-based politics in the United States. I mean, most notably was, what was it called? It was when the U.S. tried to go really hard on crime. The three strike rule. I'm just like blanking on the name for it. It's like on the tip of my tongue. Someone in chat knows what I'm talking about. Was it just called 3 strike rule? I think it was also known as like broken window. I think it was the crime bill was the official name. Let me double check. The act included, so it was the crime bill, yes. The act included the 3 strikes provision against addressing repeat offenders. Unfortunately, the 3 strike provision failed to recognize, or intentionally, by design, attempted to punish people for crimes that were, especially non-violent offenses, where someone was suffering, like let's say you had an ounce on you or whatever, or petty theft or whatever, crimes that are not like aggravated assault. And these people were facing severe life imprisonments for like stealing a candy bar. And it's like, hey, this is not good policy. Taking a bunch of people off our street and then throwing them in prison is not actually improving the world for anyone. Instead of giving these people a pathway to succeed in life, throwing them in prison and making them a permanent felon actually does not help anyone. Actually, that's bad. Why did I bring that up? Oh, yeah. That was all just to say, you can't actually discuss these things or like actually know whether or not that they're effective policy. And a lot of people were for the crime bill who thought like, yeah, this is the only thing that we're going to be, I mean, it was a lot of NIMBYs to be clear, but this is what we have to do to cut down on crime. And surprise, surprise, turning a bunch of petty criminals into felons is not a good solution for solving the crime problems. And all it did was make recidivism way worse. It didn't actually improve crime in a meaningful way. It just punished everyone harder and made everyone's life worse. It's the same thing with like any policy that attempts to like like after the fact solve homelessness rather than be preventative. So it's just sad. Stop and frisk came later to bolster numbers, feel good policy, correct. Joe Biden's speech on the Senate floor for the crime bill is insane. Stop that. Like, lives in my head rent free, man.
In order to accomplish a goal. So, for example, if these kids were being charged as adults, the entire tool that these people were using, these gangs were using of having children commit crimes on their behalf, this tool would effectively be rendered ineffective. But we don't want to do that because
bro's entire understanding of gang culture is watching The Wire, bro.
It makes people sad to put kids in jail. But from my perspective, the way that I see it is that it makes me sad to see kids that were abused, that are trafficked, and that are put into these situations because the people that are truly and profoundly evil, the people that know this, know that they can use these children because they can.
What exactly does he want? To call CPS on every gang member? I don't understand what the fuck he's saying. Like, everyone wants to be nice to them because they're children, unlike me. But I actually have a lot of empathy for the children. You want to put them in jail, huh? What?
Co-opt and use your morality against you so they can push their own evil designs. And I think that you do have to reject this in its entirety in order to have a society that isn't ruled by evil, inversion, and other types of just completely horrible people. And ultimately, you do have to sometimes make hard decisions like that, but ultimately making a hard decision like that should never have... that's my alarm. I was supposed to get up. It's 2:46 p.m. And so, excuse me on that. So you do have to make these hard decisions. You do have to do things that are obviously, sometimes not the nicest things in the world. But I think that...
Is he really so stupid that he thinks that people don't want kids to go to jail because it makes us sad? That's not why we don't send kids to jail. We don't send kids to jail because their brains aren't fully formed and they don't understand the weight of their actions, and they haven't like fully developed the long-term thinking skill yet. That's why your record is wiped, except in the I'm not sure if it's even wiped, if it's not wiped in these cases, unless it's in the instance of like severe crimes. There's a reason we wipe things like petty theft for kids, because kids don't understand like, oh, this is going to totally fuck my life up. That's why. This is just more of like a human developmental thing, that it makes no sense to punish children who don't understand the rules of the world as harshly as adults who do understand the rules of the world. You're not supposed to steal a chocolate bar or whatever. Maybe a kid doesn't realize how bad it is to get caught shoplifting. Maybe they're like, oh, who cares? It's not that big of a deal. This is the purpose of having juvie and having your record wiped. What? Usually sealed, supposed to be only accessible by the state? Yeah. Sending kids straight to jail is also a terrible idea because kids are famous for having potential. And if you just send them to jail where they're going to get no enrichment, you're guaranteeing that they will be a criminal for life? Huh? Like, this isn't about feelings and who makes who sad or whatever. It's about good policy and bad policy. I want to live in a world where kids want to get an education and they want to pursue a field that helps everyone. Whether that is like your local barista that makes you the best coffee in the world, or your doctor that gives you the medication for whatever the fuck gum disease you have. Sending like a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old to jail is just guaranteeing that, congratulations, now we have added one more permanent criminal to the world. Like, it's bad policy. It's a policy that creates more criminals rather than preventing potential criminals from becoming perma criminals. Like, this is just not
In order to do that, you do that in the goal to preserve a culture that is the best place that you want to live in the world as well. So that's the problem that I have. I don't think that I said anything wrong. I think that a lot of people actually would agree with me, and I think that the way that we've taken military action in the past, things like, for example, World War II, would indicate that actually this is not as much an objective reality that some people would make it out to be.
Sorry, I wanted to read this message. Sometimes I refuse to believe he's actually real. Like, this must be all for the grift. Surely he doesn't actually think like this. Dude, I know, right? And then you find out that he just does. It's like, oh, okay.
And again, these are the same people that have no problem using children as props and having them.
These people have been fed the argument that a higher percentage of people in prison equates to safety in some twisted way. Yeah. It's a fundamental misunderstanding about, like, how crimes occur and why crimes occur, and the correct solution to preventing a crime-ridden society. And the solution is not, in fact, imprisoning everyone all of the time at every point that we can. That's just the way to have a bloated prison system.
Like groomed by adults, about their gender, taking them to ICE protests, putting them directly in danger because there are rioters and criminals and violence there. Who would ever bring a kid there? And these are the
I love, like, the the lack of accountability for his comments. He's just like, it's not my fault I want to kill the children that are trying to cross the border. It's the parents' fault for trying to seek asylum in another country and give their kid a better life. It's like, huh? What?
same people that are saying that I'm wrong for saying that creating an incentive for people to human traffic children and use them as human shields is a bad thing. And so I apologize for absolutely nothing. I said it in a very abrasive way, and I'm going to continue communicating that way. It's how I was raised. The reality is that, I was driving my dad to the hospital.
This is probably the most lazy argument that people with no intelligence use, which is, I'm not being an asshole, I'm just being honest. It's like, you seem to think that there isn't a way to be honest without being an asshole, which signals to me how fucking stupid you are. I am very honest to many people in my life, and I am basically never called an asshole ever. It's almost like it's a skill issue on your part. If you haven't learned how to deliver things that are correct, factually correct, without sounding like a piece of shit, that's a skill issue on your part.
He was like getting one of his cancer treatments. And he said, well, what's funny about this? And I said, what? And he says, well, now they can say you killed me too, just like they say you killed your mom. That's the way I grew up. That's the way I communicate. And that's the way I think. And I'm not sorry. And I understand that sometimes I use abrasive language. Sometimes I communicate in a way that's a little bit, harsh. And
I'm not gonna lie, I would not say that publicly if I was him, but okay.
People can say I'm mean, they can say I'm evil, they can say everything, but they're not saying I'm wrong. And I think that ultimately we should look at a lot of these uncomfortable truths with a lot more of a clear mind, rather than allowing it to be polluted by people that I think want to hurt us, people that want to put us in a position that is not advantageous. And
no, people are definitely saying you're completely wrong. Both in that your solution is that of a psychopath and it doesn't work. And it is not effective policy. It's the same as like the take all the homeless people and put them in the blender solution. It'll be like, I bet you just you just disagree with me because it makes you sad to think about us blending all the homeless people into a smoothie. It's like, no, I do think you're a crazy person for suggesting that. However, it's also not a good policy. Like, it's not an effective solution because then we'll just have more homeless people. We have to solve the economic issues causing people to become homeless. And when you're looking at the stats of, like, for example, unhoused people, where it's some crazy number. It's like 40% of unhoused people work a full-time job. That's a systemic failure. That is no longer an issue on the individual level. There are individual problems at an individual level, but that's not an individual problem when you have that many people trying to reintegrate, but housing is too fucking expensive. The reason why people look at you and look at you like you're crazy is because your position is both morally reprehensible, but more importantly, bad. Because guess what? This is exactly what I was getting to. If you took all of the homeless people and blended them into a smoothie, our economic system would create more homeless people because we didn't solve the problems that are causing so many people to be homeless despite working full-time jobs. If you want to solve the problem, you have to go to the root issue. It's like having an infection and you're like, ooh, oh my God, it's like covered in like puss. Does not look good. And it hurts really bad. Oh, I know, Tylenol. That'll make the pain go away. It's like, no, dude, you need antibiotics to get rid of the infection. That's what you need. Tylenol is going to fix the pain, but you're going to die of an infection. And what's the root issue for homelessness? Question mark, huh? Material conditions? I would, if you haven't already, which I presume from your typing, reading is not your favorite hobby, but there is a pretty good lawsuit against the corporations and the management companies that use algorithm-based pricing for apartment units, where effectively it's operating as a massive, cartel. So people are not charging competitively the way that capitalism is supposed to work for housing. It's that there's a massive cartel for housing and they're charging the most they can to profit maximize rather than competing the way that that capitalism dictates corporations are meant to compete. Yeah, it's kind of like in massive violation of our antitrust laws. What conditions? Did you not hear what I said? I just explained it. That would be the primary reason. So house prices? I mean, not house prices, but I would say apartment pricing. Although house pricing is also terrible. Unless you're suddenly against the antitrust laws that we've had for almost a century at this point, I believe, because the antitrust laws were in the 30s, I think, after the oil companies were all pricing people out and then price gouging. I believe that's when, I can double check. No, it was actually before that. It was, Sherman Act was 1890. But so FTC had antitrust rules passed in 1914. Clayton Act was 1914. Okay, I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was 1890s. Yeah, 1890s was the beginning of the end. So longer than a century, actually. Because I think if you're a hardworking person, you're not homeless. I don't know how to tell you this, but what you think doesn't matter. It's what actually is true that matters. It doesn't matter if I think that the sun is made out of rainbows and sunshine. So what you think doesn't really matter. It's about what economists all agree is the root cause. And when solutions are implemented, the root cause of homelessness is removed, aka affordable housing is provided, homelessness goes away. So, yeah. But again, I mean, like, I don't think, let me see if I can pull it up one sec. Apartments.com. I think it was Apartments.com was the big one. Here it is. Yeah, I would highly recommend reading this. I don't know if you read, but this would be a good place to start in truly understanding how to solve the issue of homelessness rather than just blaming people for being homeless. Because blaming people for being homeless is what we've done for the past 20 years, and we've gotten more homeless people. So it's not really a good solution, I would say. Like if your house is on fire and you're like, I blame the cat. I blame the cat. That stray cat must have done it. It's not going to make your house stop being on fire. It's not going to do anything, right? And we have evidence that actual policy will improve the percentage of homeless people, or like we can reduce the percentage of homeless people that exist with good policy. So I would opt for doing things that actually work rather than just like blaming people, because that's what we've done and it kind of hasn't worked at all. So it doesn't seem like it's very effective. The fuck that, I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyways, I linked it in chat. This is about the how management companies that rent out apartments are currently violating antitrust laws by having basically price fixing on housing prices for apartments in neighborhoods. And that's why no one can afford like a 1-bedroom apartment. That and, the minimum wage has not kept up with inflation at all.